Awake my heart. Prayer, drought, rain. He prayed earnestly that it might not rain. And he prayed again, and the heaven gave him rain. Jas 5:17 and 18. And he prayed earnestly. This lets out a secret, away back in the first book of Kings, where we have the account of the long, dreary drought. We are simply told that Elijah warned the wicked king Anab of its approach, and that it then came. Now, however, the New Testament penned man tells us that behind the drought was a praying man. And he prayed earnestly that it might not rain. Note here the operativeness of prayer in relation to natural forces. He who quelled the winds and waves of Galilee at the entreaty of his distraught disciple still controls the forces of nature and still commands them to do his special bidding. If that is necessary to the answering of his people's prayers, and he prayed earnestly that it might not rain, so here was a prayer that God should inflict judgment. Shame on you, Elijah. How dare you pray such a prayer? Think of the innocent women and children. Think of the poor animals. Think of all the suffering which will be entailed in such a drought. Well, Elijah does think of it all. Well, does Elijah think of it all? And he has the spiritual insight to perceive that even the worst of merely physical calamities is a blessing, if it saves a nation and people from spiritual suicide. And he prayed again. Yes, mark it well, he prayed again. Earlier answer to prayer now became the basis of further prayer. If God had answered prayer to inflict drought, a drought which had eventually served its purpose, bringing king and people to a religious crisis point of Mount Carmel, bringing king and people to a religious crisis point on Mount Carmel, surely God would now hear further prayer to send rain. Let us lay it well to heart. If God answers prayer to inflict judgment, and he does, how much more will he hear it to send blessing? Well, there it is. Read it again. Elijah was a man subject to like passions as we are. And he prayed earnestly that it might not rain. And it rained not on the earth for the space of 3 years and 6 months. And he prayed again, and the heaven gave rain. And the earth brought forth her fruit. However dramatic, arresting, commanding Elijah may be as a public figure, in the Israel story, he assumes a new significance for us in the light of this New Testament comment. He suddenly becomes very close to us as a human brother, with sensitive human susceptibilities like our own. And behind the fiery public champion of the Jehovah religion, we see the humble intercessor on his face before God, pleading in lonely prayer, with strong crying and tears. Hebrews 5:7, for his apostate countrymen. Many a rocky cavern, many a secret ravine. This son of the hilly solitudes poured out his soul to God. He is a great challenge to us today. God knows we need a new generation of praying Elijahs. Where times ever more urgent or ominous, where the issues ever immenser or more desperate, our ministers need to pray more. Our church leaders need to pray more. All of us Christian believers need to pray more. Prayer operates not only individually, but nationally and internationally. We claim to believe this, but do we implement it by practice? We should daily spread the modern situation before God in prayer. Why? The very reason James refers to Elijah is to illustrate his statement in verse 16. The effectual fervent prayer of a religious man availeth much.